Blessings and welcome. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is your weekly tarot energy forecast for the month of August, from August 2nd to August 10th. I use the Osho Zen tarot cards, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start to shuffle, and as we do, we're going to call in our angels, our guides, our beloved loved ones, all those divine light beings that we feel to call in to receive their divine guidance for this time period. And we had two that fell out. And I call in of the highest love and light to channel through me that I may offer divine messages and communicate with ease those divine messages that serve the highest good of all who are guided to watch this, including myself. And so it is. Okay, I'm getting to stop here. So we already have two cards that fell out. I have not looked at them yet. We're going to choose 9 total, so then I'm going to just go randomly for our third card for the top. And let's go ahead and have a look at these. So the first one, adventure. The second one, friendliness. Now these were up last week. And the third one, morality. Okay, so let's keep going. So now we're going to pull 3 more. Or who knows how many will come out by themselves. I'm going to just keep going here. We're going to shuffle just a little bit more and see what other cards will be lying with those and adjoining to serve the highest message. Let's see. Okay, and I'm getting to stop here. And so again, we're going to just go through this deck, guided to pull here. We are the world. This is incredible. Again, a card from last week. So let's go ahead and pull comparison. I know where that goes with morality. And one more for the second row, turning in. Okay, so one more row of 3. We're going to shuffle, take a nice breath. And this is really guidance that's going to serve us as we come into this first eclipse on August 7th. Okay, so one fell out, and it is the Creator, which we had recently. And let's see what else comes. Okay, I'm guided to stop. Let's go ahead. It wants this one, and choose the Mind. Wow. 3 in a row of hardcore mental. And then this one, the Master. That's you. That's me too. Okay, so right away on the top, we have adventure, which we had just recently, I think in this last week's reading, which I will make sure and put a link here to. So make sure you watch that as you're guided. And adventure speaks to the big orgasm. And I spoke about this several months ago in a reading where really the truest adventure is you unabashedly living your truth. Being honest with yourself of what's true to you and not being afraid to embody that and live that in the world. And when we do, our world starts to change. So remember, the last 2 weeks in a row, we've had this progression of the rebel kept coming up. And the rebel is exactly that. It's all about completely releasing the old, but also it's recalibrating and being bold enough and courageous enough to live your truth in this world, so that you actually begin to learn what it is to live your truth. And in that place of courage, you begin to defy the normal laws of reality as you've learned them. We've all been conditioned to a certain level of thinking we know who we are. And the greatest gift that starts to happen as you move down through a spiritual path is actually unlearning all the stuff that you think you are, that you've learned to obey, the rules of the world that you've learned to obey. And as you release that, oh my God, well, what happens is there's like a whole other world just waiting for you. And it's your world. And that's what the adventure card speaks to. It's you reclaiming your innocence like a child and walking into a place that is so completely new. And it's still you, but it's the version of you that you haven't been yet. And that was a big thing from last week with the end, and which really links in with all of this eclipse energy, is the shedding of skins, is the letting go. Letting go, letting go. And some of these things are going to be done naturally and easily, where you're just going to be like, oh my God, I don't have that anymore. I don't have that issue. I'm not projecting that. I'm not expecting that of this person. I'm actually free of judgment in this area. And what happens is that allows a recalibration of your absolute innocence, so that you can be in the world and less of it. You can be more the truth in your heart in the world and let that lead the way. Now, that card also speaks deeply to really connecting with Mother Earth and to making time. Make sure that you make time and take time to be still with her. She has messages, she has blessings for you that will strengthen your courage, strengthen your ability to trust that it's okay to be innocent in the world, so that you can defy gravity and defy the laws of the world as you've learned them to be. It's when you don't have such strong triggers and definitions about what you think things are and how they are supposed to act in your world that you are free. It's Neo in the Matrix, right? At the end of the movie, he no longer had any polarized definitions of enemy. All the fear was gone. His slate was wiped clear. And in that way, those bullets, sure, they came at him to a distance, but then they just fell because there was nothing in him. There was no part of him that was in agreement or had even a definition of what those bullets were. And there's a cool story about this that my teacher told me, and I'm rephrasing here, so just bear with me. It's just a story. It's just a little fable. But it is said that there was a big war in Laos many, many, many years ago, thousands of years ago. And there was a field, and on one side of the field was certain people shooting guns, right? To the other side, it was a war. There was basically a war on between this land and this land. Shooting from here, shooting from there, just war, 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 war. Out of the blue, these two monks just appear in the middle of the battleground and walk in the center from one end to the other. And the story goes that what happened is that all that fighting ended. The gunshots just stopped. The soldiers, see, I don't even have a definition for that. The people at war completely stopped shooting, and the war actually stopped for that time and space while the monks walked from side A to side B. And the moral of the story is that the monks had so no definition of war. They had so no need to experience violence and any of all that energy that is connected to that their mere presence, like Neo in the Matrix, their mere presence of being, that oneness, that wholeness, as they walked through that battlefield, simply collapsed the war that was. It dissolved. That war could not take place in their presence because they had no definition for it. They had no need for it. It didn't exist for them, and so it literally didn't exist for them. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so right next to adventure is friendliness. And this is such a beautiful card. This is like the universe and the earth saying, like, we got you. And there is someone really, really special that is here to help hold space for you. And it's like a best friend. It could be a lover, or that term where you're before you become lovers, or maybe you've been lovers and you've broken up and now you're just like really, really close, really good friends. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be romantic at all. But it could be in that way infused. And this really speaks to you being seen. And this is such an important part of our process of growth, of adventuring, and of being the rebel, is us being seen. And it only takes one person. It only takes us being seen and being heard by one sacred, special person for us to feel calibrated, for us to feel like, okay, someone out there gets me. There's a reason for all of this, for why I'm doing this journey, for whatever I'm embodying in this life. And it speaks of support, it speaks of grounding, and it speaks of you being nourished by this energy, you being nourished by this person. So this is very beautiful. But the key is that you really only get this person You only really you really only get to receive this person as you are strong enough and brave enough to go on the adventure of self. Sure, they're going to show up, but you may not perceive them. You may not be able to get who they are and the complex and beautiful power and blessings that they have for you unless you are living bold enough. As the rebel, again, link here, check out the last, even the last 2 tarot readings, all about the rebel within, and go on that adventure. And it's so beautiful because you have friendliness, which is like your BFF, whether this is someone you know, you're already in a relationship, whether it's romantic, you're already in a relationship, and it's like that deepening of that. It's someone new, someone along the path, but there's this really important person in your life, and it does not have to be romantic, that sees you, and it's so valuable that they see you. And you get to see them too. It's valuable for them too. But for you specifically on your path, this is someone that you feel you trust and you love. You share love. And it's a beautiful thing because it's nourishing, it's comforting, and it's grounding, and it's emotionally stable. There's no drama, which is so nice. And of course, what comes next, and this card again came up a few weeks ago, we are the world. This is so cosmic. This is so galactic. This is you being that rebel, being on that adventure of self and meeting your companions of destiny. So you know, as you come into your spiritual realization and your spiritual growth, what happens is things start to accelerate and you begin to meet companions of destiny along the way in rapid, rapid ways. And those companions of destiny are people that you know, beings that you know from past lives, where you've made an agreement to connect and to support, to see, to hold, to love each other in this life. Like there's no way you can't not do that because you're connected over lifetimes. But it's, they are now showing up. Okay, what am I saying? What I'm saying is, as you allow yourself to go on this spiritual adventure of embodying the rebel within and your truth, that brings to you not only that best friend in that friendliness card, but a whole galactic, a whole galactic presence of like these amazing people that come out of the woodwork that are all of a sudden they're like, I see you, I can help you, or I have a wise word for you, or I'm going to share this really sacred something, or I feel like I'm supposed to give you this rock. You know, like all these really beautiful, synchronistic, juicy, amazing like things start to unfold. And those are your people. Those are your people from past lives. But you know what? They only show up when you are courageous enough to go on your own mission. They don't start showing up in swarms like this, bump to bump, back to back, person after person, until you start showing up as yourself too. And again, it serves. They serve you because they see you and they're like, oh, here, let me open this door for you. Let me connect you to this person. It's very synchronistic and beautiful. But also, you see them. So there's a gift. There's a beautiful circulation of exchange. Turning in. Keep meditating. Every tarot card reading, it's a theme. Meditate, meditate, meditate. Get out of this world. Get out of this world. Get out of your mind. Calm your emotional waters. If you are feeling very emotional during these eclipses, that's fine. Feel it all. But don't let it overtake you. If you look at this card, around this person are all of these, like they look like ghosts or entity faces, right, in the ethers. And there's all, basically it symbolizes all the voices in our mind that could ever be pulling us this way and pulling us that way. Yet, she, whether you're male or female, represents the feminine, the divine feminine, is so at one, is so peaceful. And if you look above her crown, there's this divine light, right, her Sushumna, is extending up, 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 this clear point that goes up, that just slices through all the minutia of all the voices, trying to take her here and there and there and here. Emotionally, those waters on her skirt represent the calmness of her mind, the calmness of her emotions. You know, the emotions are governed by the mind. And if your mind is going crazy, your emotions are going to reflect that. So keep meditating. Keep creating those sacred spaces where you can tune in to that which is greater than yourself. plug in to God, to Source, to whatever name you give it, and let yourself receive. She's the divine feminine, receptive. Receive the blessings, the intuition, the guidance, the stillness, the stability that those sacred times offer you. And remember, meditation is not just something we do once when we're feeling all disheveled. It's a lifestyle. And it's something that you can choose to do every single day to serve yourself. I have a meditation playlist. I'm going to put a link right here. There's mindful meditation, there's pineal gland activation meditation, there's relaxation. There's so many different kinds. And so please check it out. If you're new to meditating, or if you enjoy meditating and you just want to have more options and see what's out there, I welcome you to browse my videos. So before we get to the last two cards, which are the Creator and Master, I want to address these three cards on the right, because there's morality. And if you look at this person, there's no heart. They are tight-lipped, and their palms are pressed together. So this is kind of like the, and it's a gray card, which governs the mind. And this reminds me of a very, someone who has made up their mind about everyone and everything, and who is so right, who only sees in black and white, and who has very little room to explore that which abides in between. You know, it's either like these people are good or they're bad. And it's all about polarity and judgment. The next card, comparison, again, polarity and judgment, a card of the mind. This is why turning in, important, meditate, very important. So comparison speaks to us comparing ourselves to another, us comparing what we have to what another person has, us thinking we need to be different than the other person. So there's two tree-like entities. One is a bamboo and one is a tree. And what this card speaks to is like the bamboo is never, unless it reincarnates and believes in reincarnation and comes back as a tree, as that tree that is different from the kind that it is now. The bamboo is not, in this life, I mean, maybe in a fairy tale kind of a way somehow, going to be the oak tree. And the oak tree neither is going to be the bamboo. It's like you've been dealt your lot in this life. You know, you have brown hair, sure, you can dye your hair red, or you can do, you know, there's things we can do. But ultimately, what you are is what you are. And wanting to be something that is outside of that is what causes us great pain. And it's comparison, and it's judging who and what we are now and thinking that it has to be different from what resides. And when we get stuck in that paradigm, it's all the mind. And the mind, when it's allowed to be driven by those wild horses that just crank and crank and crank and go and go and go, it actually drives us mental. And it makes us doubt people, places, things, ourselves, most importantly. It makes us doubt that we're on the right track, that we're on the right adventure. And sometimes that's the initiation, right, of embodying innocence and trusting your heart and going on your adventure. Sometimes that's the actual initiation, because when you're on an adventure and you're following your heart, this part of yourself that has strong judgments and strong preferences, and this has to show up like this and this has to show up like that, that gets to go out the window. It's like you decide to backpack around Europe, and then you realize, like in some countries, that you have to squat to use a toilet, and it's like, oh, that's disgusting. I'm just never going to pee again. It's like, no, that's not going to work. You're going to have to squat. You're going to have to pee. You're going to have to figure it out. You know, you're going to have to let go of how you think things need to show up and be in order for you to feel safe and in order for you to function. Just loosen up, right? And judging. So let yourself, as you unfold and you begin to discover who you are, you're going to meet other people like you. They're not you, though. They could never be you, but you're going to discover other people like you. And be mindful that you're very grateful and fulfilled by that which you are and that which you have amassed. So even as you unfold in your innocence and the adventure of self and start meeting all these past life brothers and sisters, stay humble, stay grateful, and know that the gifts that you have, even if it looks like someone else, oh, even like me, like I do the tarot, it's like, you know how many millions of people do the tarot, and like I'm going to be like, oh my God, well, you know, she does it like this, or she has like long, sexy blonde hair, and I want what she has, or I'm not as intuitive as that other guy who does the tarot, or just all this stuff that can really start to eat us up in our minds. But know that if you're guided to go somewhere, to do something, to share a gift, a talent, and you're mindful about staying detached, of having expectations, you're on your divine path. You are on your divine path. And so letting go of judgment, letting go of comparing yourself, and getting out of the mind and keeping in your practice of attuning to that which is higher, meditating. Because what's here at the end of this week, August 10th, or it doesn't even have to be at the end of the week, it can be like right now, right? The Creator, these are very masculine powers, and we've been dealing recently with very feminine energy, with really allowing ourselves to relax into the divine feminine. And isn't this interesting that now, as we've learned to do that and to embody that, and of course there still is a balance, being the receptive, the empty vessel, the channel, being open. Boom! This is the energy, this is the fire, this is the Creator, this is the third and second chakra. This is you being like, okay, I see my power, I see my adventure, I'm going for it. And whatever that embodies, whatever that means for you, whatever that means that you get to do for yourself, to embody that, that's what you're being called to do this week. And you are rising to the challenge. And you're not only rising to the challenge, and I say challenge because for some reason in this world, it's one of the hardest things for us to show up as our true selves. And really, we spend much of our life trying to figure out what that is. But if we do it with sincerity, and we ask, and we keep attuned to that which is greater than us for divine guidance, it becomes given, it becomes revealed, and those old skins fade away, they dissolve. And what you're left with is the master that you already are. You are that master. This is a picture of Osho, Rajneesh, and the full moon. Woo! And we have the full moon. Okay, so I'm not an astrologer, but August 7th, and I don't know where you are in the world. By the way, I was just checking out my stats on YouTube. Apparently I have a huge following in Alaska. That's incredible. Namaste, Alaska. That is so awesome. Thank you for watching, sharing, liking, commenting. Okay, so master, you are the master. As my friend recently said, look at that wizard beard, right? So in a way, you know, we all have a wizard beard. The wise roots that connect us to ancient mastery. And that's you. So whatever you're getting up to on this full moon, August 7th, I believe it might be different if you're in England or a different part of the hemisphere. Use that full moon energy. What are you calling in? What are you releasing? What do you want to activate? What do you want to bury and release and let go of? All of that work is going to lighten your load so that as you strike, remember last week we were talking about embodying the divine feminine, and as we learn to do that, we don't have to hit with the hammer constantly and wonder why it's not working. We sit, we're still, we attune, and then we get like a beep on our psychic inner radar that says, now, call that person now, do that thing. And it's like, okay, and you trust it, and you attune and you align. And remember we were doing the bow and arrow. So when it's that time for you to act as the creator you are, because you are that, you do it with great mastery. And you only have to hit once, and you will hit the bullseye of the target, because you're coming from that place of innocence, divinely in balance and in tuned with that masculine and female, feminine energy within you. So embody the master, do your work this full moon, Whatever that means that serves you, make it spiritual, mystical, and allow the blessing that is beyond this world to meet you. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, for sharing, for liking, commenting. Namaste.